Jen, why won't you marry me?
Jonathan, I don't love you.
Well, that's absurd.
Ah,
Well, I'm young, I'm rich, I'm healthy, I'm good looking, I'm very good looking. I've got everything.
including 3 ex-wives.
Oh, that's what it is. Jan, please don't hold that against me. Those marriages were just a revolt against my mother. I'm trying to work it out. I'm trying to find out why I dislike her so. I've been talking to this psychiatrist about my mother for 2 years now.
And?
It's perfectly healthy. He dislikes her as much as I do. And he's from Vienna.
Hello, listening people.
Hello.
Hello, Bartek. How are you doing?
Doing well, Ryan. How are you doing?
I'm feeling great. I'm very excited to be here. Today we're talking about a movie on our podcast that feels like visiting an old friend in a way, but like you haven't met this person before, but I feel like I have.
Yeah, we're meeting the person that a close friend of ours has modeled themselves after.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also Tony Randall's here too. Oh man, we are here today on Spit and Polish to present to you Pictures Powwow, a show in which we talk about movies that have come recommended. And there's a method to our recommendations. 1 week it will be a recommendation from myself and we talk about a movie that I have picked. Then the week after that, it is the listening people. That's right. You, the listening people, can recommend movies to us. We add them to a list and then eventually we get around to them. And then the week after that, it's Bartek. You pick. And sometimes you have a method of madness. Well, not sometimes, always. You have methods of madness to your picks that you put upon yourself.
Yes. Well, technically methods of order, because I stick to the rules.
Or sometimes, well, yes, but it's madness when certain times of the year come up and then you have to sweat profusely about your method.
There are specific rules that we as a podcast have, and now I have to apply those. Like, what are some horror films of this that will fit this rule? Yes, every first pick, I will pick a Hollywood film, because, those are the most common films, I guess, that we watch. And then the second, I will pick something that Hollywood has not touched.
That's right.
Even if it is, has some Americans in it, but if Hollywood hasn't touched it, it's fair game.
A foreign film, a non-Hollywood film.
Hollywood is foreign to us, but
yes. every film industry other than our own is foreign. So, but yes, we today are talking about a movie that I recommended, and for this year we've been trying to do older movies from the past, movies from a while ago now, and we are talking about the 1959 film Pillow Talk, starring Rock Hudson and Doris Day and Tony Randall. And everyone, please make sure to give this a watch for yourself. It is quite the romp. It is a film that is one of those traditional 1960s, even though this is 59, these 1960s bright, colorful, poppy sex comedies where you have the man and the woman and there's some kind of deceit or snafu or some kind of hidden lie or personas being played, and everyone talks and quips. Everyone's wearing gorgeous fashion and have magnificent hair. Their apartments are color-coded like they're in a candy store. It's one of those movies.
Do you like Down with Love?
Do you like the film Down with Love with Ewan McGregor and Renee Zellweger? Well, how about you see one of the many and more direct inspirations for that movie? That's right. It's Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk, the premise of the movie is fairly simple, but Bartek, how would you describe it to someone?
Sure. So the film follows two primary characters. It follows Doris Day and it follows Rock Hudson. Those are the actors' names. And they don't live together. They don't even live in the same building, but their phone lines they're called party lines. So they cannot make separate phone calls. They're always connected at the same time. And unfortunately for Doris Day, who's I live on my own, I'm happy, independent, but I am
strong,
also
independent businesswoman.
I have work to do and I need to make phone calls. But this person who's on the same party line as me keeps flirting with infinite women at all times of the day, and it's very, very annoying. And I need to deal with him.
And he's always on his piano singing and crooning to these women on the phone. And I have business calls to make, damn it.
Yes, and her slight resistance to him makes him take notice of her and tries to come up with a scheme to get back at her, involving, trickery.
Trickery, deceit, and of course, acting. Meanwhile, both of them have a friend in common, played by the wonderful Tony Randall, who is a delight and is so great. And as mentioned, this film inspired one that we have covered on the podcast previously, Down with Love. I would also say watch Down with Love to better appreciate our conversation here today as well, but also because it's a really awesome and amazing movie.
It's one of the best we've seen. Yeah.
One of the best 2000s comedy with Renee Zellweger, Ewan McGregor, and David Hyde Pierce, and Sarah Paulson. Let's not rule her out. And Tony Randall was in that as well. Like, that's the connective thread. He was the head of the board in that movie, Tony Randall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's why it's like an extra wink, because he was still around and acting. So that was like one of those little, the move Down with Love winking at the audience going, you know what we know, which is we love those Rock Hudson, Doris Day comedies. Because this is the beginning of like a trilogy of comedies that Doris Day, Rock Hudson, and Tony Randall will do together. Like they did 3 or 4 of these.
Okay.
All separate, like all individual movies of their own. They're not the same characters, but it's the same type of deal of like, the 2 lovers or the 2 people interested in each other, and Tony Randall being the neurotic little guy who's there. But I've never seen Pillow Talk. I've been wanting to see Pillow Talk. I don't think I've ever seen a Rock Hudson movie before. I've admired the man. I think he's a very interesting figure in terms of his career and his personal life. And yet, it's just never happened. It's never come to be. And I've never seen a Doris Day movie either. She's also someone that's had quite the career, and she's been a prominent figure throughout the years. She only passed away in 2019, 97 years old. And it's just that thing of like, I've been meaning to get around to these actors, because out of the 2 of us, I'm the one that loves like this type of like the actors from like the 1930s to 50s. And I will just explore movies because I'm like, oh, I've yet to watch a movie starring blank, or oh, I love that actor, I've yet to see blank. And I've just been wanting to check this off the list not only because of Rock Hudson and Doris Day, but Down with Love was a movie that really struck a chord with us, and Pillow Talk was the clear inspiration. It has a lot of the same plot points, it has a lot of the same dynamics, and the use of the split-screen phone call aesthetic of this movie is used to great comedic expertise in Down with Love, where I think one of the top reviews on Letterboxd with Down with Love was the split-screen phone gag where they look like they're having sex is something Mike Myers must have been furious about that he didn't think of for an Austin Powers movie.
Yeah, it's such an apt
observation.
Yeah.
But I had some expectations, but after all this said, I didn't even know what the plot of this movie was. I just knew it was like Doris Day, Rock Hudson, and he's being a little scheming guy trying to get with her. That's all I knew. I didn't know too much else. But what about you? Did you have much familiarity? Have you seen this before? Heard of it before?
I'm pretty similar to you. I don't think I'd seen a Rock Hudson or Doris Day film. I'd heard a little bit about this film. You, in the past year, have introduced me to the YouTuber Matt Baum. He's got a video about Rock Hudson, and I think Pillow Talk was mentioned in that. So I was like vaguely aware of this film, being a kind of, like romantic comedy classic. Didn't necessarily know that it was like or didn't maybe remember that it was the key inspiration for Down with Love, but watching this film, it's like so obvious.
Yes.
He's pretending to be a Southern guy with a
with a silly name,
snappy name, or Tex or Zip or something like that.
Yeah. The black hair slicked to like with a part that's so straight that you can set your watch by it.
The acting style, thinking back on Down with Love, like it felt so like purposeful and kind of exaggerated there, but watching this, it was like, man, it was like so authentic.
When I was watching this today, I watched it this morning. I felt like, this will be a movie that will put a pep in my step to start the day. I watched it and said, God damn it, David Hyde Pierce is so good as the Tony Randall role. Like, David Hyde Pierce is always great. And we praised him so much when we watched that movie. But, like, you watch Tony Randall in this movie and you're like, oh, yeah, that's just David Hyde Pierce. That's just David Hyde Pierce is doing Tony Randall.
His eloquent exasperation.
And, like, the giddiness of getting in on a scheme and all of the quick one-liners that they throw out there. So, did you enjoy Pillow Talk?
Relatively. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but it's shaky in quite a few areas.
Oh boy, is it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I had a great time. The way I describe it is bonkers. This movie's insane. This movie is unhinged. There's a random, and again, people, watch this for yourself. We're going to get into it. So if you want to be unspoiled, because this movie has twists and turns and little subplots and character stuff that's just something to behold. And as I said, it's a crazy movie still. And it's on purposely zany. Like, this movie isn't, like, ignorant to all of its foibles that we would look at it with today. Like, a lot of it is there, but some of it is oblivious to its politics, gender-wise. But there's this subplot where there's these two, like, medical characters who... And they end this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Convinced that Rock Hudson is, like, pregnant or a woman or something or other going on with him, and it's just such a strange thing that does not need to be in this movie in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, the doctor is under the impression that, you know, this is a man who is potentially pregnant. This could be, like, revolutionary in terms of, you know, human anthropology. Like, what could this mean? I need to inspect him.
And it's just 3 scenes of them, and it's so... But that's just one of the many things where you just lean over and go, huh? Okay. But I loved it. I love this movie. It has everything I want. And even the shakiness that we will talk about. I was having this discussion with my wife where I was just like, look, is the troublesome elements to this movie? Yes. Does this movie skirt the line of good taste? Yes, it does. But at the same time, that shagginess, those rough edges, those cracks in the armor here, I kind of find them a part of the charm of the movie as well, because it has such great comedic pacing and performances and just goes through it that it doesn't linger too long on those things where it makes me feel annoyed. Like a film that made me very annoyed was Bus Stop, starring Marilyn Monroe. That film wasn't as tightly wound up as this one, where the problems of that movie stayed in your face longer than the problems of this one.
Yeah,
this one
he was
just,
a real Southern boy.
He was a real Southern boy. But yeah, this one, I loved it. As soon as Tony Randall said that he was a minority, and then they're like, what kind of minority are you? And he's like, a millionaire. And I'm like, I was like, this movie's one. It's one. I love it.
The whole gender politics stuff is definitely a thing. That wasn't so much the shakiness that I had issues with. That was expected. It's like, okay, yeah, this definitely is a product of its era. I can see a lot of people having very strong issues with it. It is an issue, but I can accept it because, like you said, they actually are doing like comedic stuff there. It adds to the pacing of the film and the whole attitude and, you know, what the film wants to get out of you. And it is very funny, and on a pure vibe level, it's very fun to just have happen.
Oh, yes. So what were the elements that were shaky for you then?
The ending.
Oh, you mean when it just abruptly stops?
Yeah, it felt like I guess what was the climax of the film where, you know, he takes her out of bed and takes her to his apartment while she's like complaining. I'm like, okay, this is like, you know, the first step in like how this film's going to end, because obviously this film's going to end in them somehow getting together despite everything.
Somehow.
Yeah, and then
they just skip that.
They just get to the apartment and she's cool with everything, and then
she kept the light switches, so it was indicating she was always cool with it.
Yeah, then it's like 3 months later, he's walking the, you know, third rule threes with the 2 doctors. And the film ends like, oh,
don't forget, she's also pregnant.
Yeah.
And he has to tell Tony Randall to I don't know, just rub it in, get his permission. I don't know, because Tony Randall is the guy who's in love with her, but then he's such a Rock Hudson's such a snake. The film
really plays around with whether he's an antagonist or not, because at first it's like, oh, I need to make this relationship a secret from him. I need to work around this, and then once he finds out, he's like, I would say miffed about it. He's not like super
He's
like
super furious, but then once like Doris Day knows about it, then Tony Randall, after getting punched in the face, becomes like that quirky side character who's like in on the scheme.
He becomes like a trickster who's like, oh, I want to see you suffer through this situation. Oh, you know what you need to do? You need to call her right now, see what happens. And
I love that.
He just lets him do everything he can to solve the situation and gets joy out of the fact like, oh, you're probably going to struggle.
But here's why it works. You have the right actor in that role. You have Tony Randall, and he knows how to make that switch of the character work. And that's what like is so tricky about that ending, because like you can do that with Tony Randall because he's a side character, but you need the two main characters, their flip at the end. You need more time on it, as well as to establish that these characters, let alone the actors performing it, but the characters have a genuine chemistry with one another. Because for the film, she's fallen in love with a fake version of his character, like of Rock Hudson, and Rock Hudson has genuinely started to fall in love with her. We can understand him, but we don't understand her at the end. Like, why would she, after everything that's gone on, fall in love with him? Not only because of the clear violation of trust and deceit, but of the man himself. What does she love? She loves a character he portrayed, but does she love him in any way? Like, there's all of the barriers of what she knows of him is just reaffirmed times 10 by this deception that he is just a conniving ladies' man. But why? What does she actually like about him? And the movie just skips that. It just skips it. Just goes,
it just
whatever.
says, yeah, she likes something. The end.
The end. She kept the light switches, which again, like that's a nice little touch of like everything's garish, but she kept those things. And it, like I wasn't joking when I said it's like to indicate that, you know, she did this thing to get at him, but at the end of the day, she's still into him. That's a great visual way of showing that, but we needed more. I'm not saying like we need like lengthy discussions, but also we do. We do need discussions.
We want to see more than just a little detail. We want to see it be like a genuine thing. As the film is, it ends on a relationship that I do not buy.
Of course, that's a huge problem with the movie, and one of the things that is difficult with like the liar revealed, there's some form of an act being played here, a game being played here, story, is how are they going to land the liar revealed moment and the aftermath of it? And, you know, I'll bring up Downward Love just for this moment here. Obviously, will come up again.
A film that did it perfectly, you mean?
Yes. What I love about movies that are inspired by other movies is when they can encapsulate a critique of the movie and then improve upon it, rather than just lovingly homage it. Because Downward Love is critical of this movie. Downward Love is not just verbatim this movie. It is a modern filmmaking take on this movie, but it still captures the essence. It captures the film style, the comedy, but that movie is specifically about the gender politics and warring sides, and that both of them are deceiving one another, so that when they do get to their weird relationship, it's a joint and mutual form of eccentricity and dysfunctionality that feels cohesive, because it's like these two fucked up people are part of the same puzzle. But in this movie, Doris Day, Jan, she's a normal woman. She's just a woman who wants to use her phone. And then she's forced to be in this. And it's like, why would you get with him? But that's what I love about something like, you know, Downward Love or several other movies that are like clearly the people who make it love this source material. But if you're truly in love with the source material, you also see the faults of it. And if you go like, I want to do my own version of it, the better way to go about it is to also like work upon the shortcomings of the material you like, or what's the point. And so often we see with movies that blind spot, especially nowadays where there's like a love, like such a nostalgia fest for things of the past. Like, let's lovingly recreate this thing. And it's like, but you're losing the thread while you do that. But, you know, Downward Love and Pillow Talk, they are such great movies to watch in tandem with one another because it's like they're having a conversation with each other rather than one is just imitating the other. And that's what I really got out of Pillow Talk was like, oh, yes, this doesn't work here. And yes, it's a product of its time, but it's also that thing of like, but I, someone who's just watching it for the first time, can understand why people would still love this movie, even despite the obvious flaw of like the ending. Like I can say as someone who loves the original Secret Life of Walter Mitty, the third act of that movie is pretty messy. But I fucking love that movie anyway, and I just would I'll watch it again. That movie also just ends.
Yeah.
But I love it anyway. So that's what I get with Pillow Talk. It's just like, look, these problems, they exist. But man, this movie's just really...
It's having fun the whole way through, basically, and that's the enjoyable part of it.
It's perfectly encapsulated that the film also understands that what he is doing is wrong. It could go about it much more harshly, but there is a magnificent scene, one of my favorite scenes, when Tony Randall catches him. And Tony Randall comes in, lights his cigarette, and tells him what's what. Yeah. And then you see the piano singer. She's watching the whole entire thing and seeing the accent change and all that. And then when Rock Hudson schmoozes and wines and dines Doris Day to join him, the singer sees it all, and then she starts singing a song about him being a liar.
You're lying, that's not fair, kind of thing.
That's the level of pitch perfect meta absurdity that this film is so good at striking, and it doesn't do it too often. It will just do it occasionally, like the split screen thing. That just is a thing that happens in the movie. Like they're on the phone and split screens will happen. But one time they do something absurd with it, which is when they're both in the bathtub. It's not a split screen. They're literally on the same set, and they've put a big line in the middle of it, and that's why their feet are so perfectly lined up. But then when they do close-up shots, it transitions into a split screen effect again, but the line is a physical thing in the set. So that's how they achieve that shot.
I noticed that there was like a sort of symmetry with the bathtubs, but I didn't actually notice that it was the same.
Yeah, if you go back and watch it, like when they put their feet up, they're putting them next to each other. They're on the same set for that one moment.
I want to look at that now.
I think it's the only moment in the film which they use the split screen in a physical, practical way to emulate the effect that they've been doing throughout the whole entire movie. And even in that same scene, they'll intercut it with the traditional split screen effect of them shooting on different sets different days on the phone. So little touches like that make this film extra exciting to just consume and watch and appreciate. It's like it's a 1950s 60s rom-com sex comedy, and yet there's like masterful direction, set design, costumes. Like there's so much like craft put on display for a movie that could get away with not having any. You know? Like, it's just one. This one, unlike Down with Love, is a musical at times. Like, there's a lot of songs that just happen randomly.
Oh, yeah, non-diegetic songs.
Non-diegetic, but here's a character. The music exists so the actors can sing.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Like, it's not an actual musical, but it is like, there's like 6 or 7 songs just casually in this movie.
Yeah, this film has a number just diegetically playing.
Yes, and sometimes the loose reasoning for why a character will sing now is so thin. But you accept it because of just the tone of the movie, the atmosphere of the movie, the reality of the movie is so cartoonish that you just go, yeah, they're singing.
I like that there was a transition from the opening credits sequence where, they're playing a song, I think literally called Pillow Talk. And then when you get to the first scene, she's still humming the song. So it's like kind of like a smooth transition from credits to film.
Did you love the opening credits?
It was fun.
Yeah, again, another thing of playing with them on the set together, throwing the pillows, and yet it feels like they're not on the same set. It's really well done. I like the end credits too, with like the little pillows like ramping up.
Oh yeah, that's right. That did happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, I remember when that happened, I was still reeling
Stun-locked.
from, oh, it's over? What the fuck?
But then the pillows say not quite. So it's like, is it not quite over yet?
Oh, and then it led to 3 months later?
No. The pillows are like, just not quite.
Just not quite. Oh,
because they kept switching the colors of the pillows to boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. And it's like, not quite. And it's like, because Again, it's still playing on
It's
the
going to be
weird.
some third gender that can get pregnant.
That's, I think, what the gag is.
Yeah.
So
I was expecting the film to have what, like, you know, the rule of threes of the doctor who thinks he's pregnant. But it ended up not doing it in the way that I thought. I thought there was like a very clear setup.
mm,
Earlier in the film, there was that, you know, annoying lady. I think she's the lady with the creepy son. And she's like looking at
oh
all.
yes,
Yeah, she's like looking at all these
the
things. That, like,
fertility.
yeah, there was like a
statue.
fertility statue. I'm like, oh, put that in his room. The doctor will somehow get there, and it's like, aha, evidence. But they didn't. I don't know if they ended up doing anything with that.
It was put into his apartment at the end.
Okay.
But I don't think that character ever stumbled in there and was like, "Oh, I see what this is." There's a lot to take in with this movie. So tell me a bit more about how you felt about it. What were some things that stood out to you, or moments in particular, or any lines or things like that?
I like that there were a couple of different little techniques that he was doing as part of his ruse that I wasn't expecting. He came up with the ideas of, you know, calling her as himself and then saying like, oh, you know, you can't trust men like that. They're going to do this thing. And he then would, as his character, lean into doing those things, but then do a twist on it to like make her, you know, nervous, but then think like, oh, he's better than, you know, other men because he took me to his apartment, but it wasn't for anything, you know,
Sexual.
raunchy. It was just literally to do the thing he said he was going to do. And I thought that was, you know, a fun thing.
Yes, and an extra dickishness on his part as well. Like, he doesn't have to do that, but he does that just to be an extra level of challenge for himself. Like, he's not satisfied because there's a moment like after the first date, it's like, oh yes, 5 or 6 more dates, then this will be secure. But he gets bored with that because the reason he's doing this scheme in the first place is because he is bored. He is bored with his successful ladies' man lifestyle. He has his routine down pat. He has the light switches. He has the piano. He has the music. He knows the bars he goes to. Like, he has become so comfortable in his life that he needs a new thrill. And this whole entire thing is for that. But now it's going so smoothly. He's like, oh, I better shake it up. But it's also like an extra level of dickishness to do.
It also kind of brought up a question of like, oh, is this him trying to give them an out for this relationship so that he can say like, see, I told you so, as like that's his move, but no, it was to prop himself up more.
Yes, and give himself more challenges. Which, what a piece of garbage. Like, he is a horrible person. Loathsome man, but Rock Hudson was a handsome, likable fellow. Like, he once he like cracks a big smile, you're like, yeah, well. Oh, okay. But then he'll just do it more. He'll do more shit, and you're like, oh, this is not on at all.
At one point, he tried to convince everyone that, you know, this Tex character might be gay.
Yes, there's a lot to be said because, you know, Rock Hudson famously is known as an actor who came out of the closet, you know, revealed to the world that he was gay, but he also had AIDS. And then he shortly died after that. And so, like, a large part of, like, Rock Hudson's legacy is, like, he was a gay actor. Now we can go back to these movies and see kind of the irony of some of these things, and, like, him playing characters who are playing that they're straight and all of that, or, like, playing that they're gay, or all of these things. So it does add a little bit of something to this movie as well, especially. It's like, oh, Rock Hudson's playing a character who's playing a character who's playing a character type deal. Same with, like, Tab Hunter. We talked a little bit about Tab Hunter when we did Grease 2. He was the teacher in that, and he was a similar type of deal where it was like this traditional handsome Hollywood, you know, heartthrob from the 50s who, you know, was actually gay, and it kind of shook up like, oh, okay, they can do that. Like, that idea of they can be gay was a thing that was just such a big deal. Nowadays things have changed in a lot of ways, but it is something important to note about, like, Rock Hudson. That's a part of the identity of this man as a Hollywood figure was, he did these movies, but I think most people understand him from the end of his life and then back. It's like, oh, he was the famous Hollywood actor who was gay and had AIDS and died. And he was like one of the first major celebrities to come out with AIDS, say that they had it in a time when no one was wanting to speak about it. So very important. But there was also I was reading about Doris Day because I was curious about Doris Day.
Okay.
Best friends with Reagan. So that's and dated Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
So
I was literally, because I have seen some Matt Baum videos, and I remember there was one figure that he talked about at some point that was gay or had some sort of thing that was considered immoral in America, but they were friends with the Reagans.
Yes, and it was Rock Hudson.
That was Rock Hudson. Okay.
And the Reagans.
And they're also friends with Doris Day.
Yes, the Reagans famously left him in the wind at the final moment and just basically said "fuck you."
Oh.
Yeah, well, who? Oh, what a shock! That
I can't believe it.
One of the most evil figures of the 20th century.
He did
was a bad guy,
but he did film with the monkey.
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, Bedtime for Bongo or whatever it was called.
This is the second time I've heard Bedtime for Bongo brought up this week. Because I was talking to a friend of ours, and we're talking about Ronald Reagan, and it's like, and they brought up, it was in that movie Bedtime for Bongo. I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard of this movie until recently. It's like, it keeps coming up. I knew he was in other movies. But everyone, I know what next week's recommendation is. Bedtime for Bongo, recommended by our friend.
Yeah. Well, what's mine? Is my next one? My next one's foreign, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So you'll leave that as your near Christmas pick, as Bedtime for Bongo.
Yeah. Or you'll take it next.
Yeah,
time.
as my older movie, Bedtime for Bongo. I loved Doris Day's maid. What was she?
Maid. Yeah.
The drunk that would come in and just be
a
kooky character.
I wasn't sure what she was, but then later on in the film, I think the best friend's like, "Oh, you need to get close to a maid."
She needed a friend, but instead she had an older woman who sometimes worked for her. That was a complaint I had. Not to say that character was bad, but you look again at Downward Love, and in Downward Love, she had a female best friend.
Yeah, her manager or something.
Yeah, who then bounced off of his male best friend, and then there's a dynamic.
Yes,
here.
That's right. They had a relationship.
Yeah, Sarah Paulson and David Hyde Pierce, the two gayest actors possible, their characters fall in love. But there's that kind of fun there. But in this movie, it is very much a trio, and then she's also in the movie too.
Yeah.
Because Tony Randall, Rock Hudson, and Doris Day all interact with each other. But Rock Hudson's the only, Rock Hudson interacts with the maid later in the movie for one scene.
Yeah, and she was already kind of a fan of his voice over the phone.
Yeah, it's just something about it. I need that kind of clean symmetry nature to it.
She had a pretty loose connection with all of them, ironically. It's Doris Day's house, so they will interact sometimes. Tony Randall knows of her because he spends so much time with her, and she knows about Rock Hudson because of the voice, but there's just not really that much of a thread with any of them, even Doris Day.
No, there needed to be a bit more there, more time with that character to interact.
She just had the elevator man.
Yeah. She's there to deliver jokes, and that's fine. But in a movie that is having pretty lean amount of narrative stuff, of just each scene feeds into the next, and there's gags too, to have a character that basically serves as gags, because even then, when Rock Hudson tries to wine and dine her, it doesn't really get him anywhere. The joke is she outdrinks him.
Yeah, and she gives him just direction, advice.
Yeah.
This is what you need to do. This is what the climax of the film's going to be.
Yeah, it's not the most heady stuff.
Feels like she should be more of a, wisecracking deadpan character that will, give, commentary over things. Like the maid from the Brady Bunch film.
Oh, yes.
Something like that.
Or she could be the one who finds... again, she could be very similar to Sarah Paulson in Downward Love, where she's both disgusted and turned on by this man, because that was a part of the dynamic there as well. It's like, oh, what a loathsome man.
Yeah. But the film really went in on the Doris Day solitude.
What did you think about Doris Day?
She was good. I enjoyed her. I liked that. Yeah, even though the film kind of frames it as a negative, like, oh, you want to live alone and you're fine with that. Like, how could you? You need to get with someone. You've got this suitor right here. You've got this right here. Why not? I did like that. At least from the modern perspective of like, that is okay. That is a relatable kind of character.
Oh, yeah. And, for a woman too, like it's expected for a guy. Even then, this movie does have Tony Randall give Rock Hudson a lot of guff about being a guy who's not interested in marriage. But yeah, for a woman, there was a lot of expectations. It's like, you've got to do this, and even then there's a lot of, we're over 21, that type of thing got brought up a bunch.
And even though this was decades before, she is a down with love girl, as that film called them.
Mm-hmm. I thought she was very spunky. She was very good at the comedic deliveries. She had that fast pace, and she has a very commanding voice. But she has the dissonance of she has such a sweet little face. Like she has a very rosy cheek, the nice little blonde hair. She looks so sweet and demure, but then that voice comes out of her that has a lot of command and power to it, and she like barking at him on the phone, so that way when he does see her in person, he does have a double take. It's like, but look at that nice little lady, she's the one that's so mean to me, and I actually can buy it, because there is a bit of a disconnect with like how she looks and then how she talks in the movie.
She's really, really expressive. She jumps from like strict teacher to, and professional working lady to just a woman in love
and a crank. Like she gets so angry in this movie. She is such a crank.
She gets a couple of good lines too, like when Tony Randall says like, and you've just fallen in love with him. It's like, yes, I have. It's like, you just admitted it. I did, didn't I?
One of her most well-known roles was Calamity Jane. In the film Calamity Jane, Doris Day, which is funny because her voice in this did remind me a lot of Jane Russell, who was in Paleface as Calamity Jane. So that's kind of like a funny thing. But, talking about like Jane Russell, like she's one where she looks like her voice. She looks like, she's a sexy lady, but she's like a statuesque, no nonsense, that she can, knock you out type deal. So there's that kind of like harmony there when she can bark at you like that. But like with Doris Day, it is that kind of fun thing of this movie where a lot of humor from her is just how she like offsets everyone by playing that up, of like even Tony Randall, where he like thinks he's on her good side and then he'll get on her bad side, and he's just like, oh, he may as well pull his collar and steam comes out. It's just so good. You
mentioned knock you out just then. It just reminded me of I had to download this film. I couldn't find a copy anywhere. And the website that I got the film from has like a description segment of like, this is what the film is, and it has like a cast listings, like top cast, and for some reason the website just picked 4 like really minor roles as the top cast. Like I think the guy that knocks out Tony Randall in the bar is one of them.
There's a fun behind the scenes story about that.
I think that's the one trivia I read where it was a real punch.
And it really knocked him out.
And that's the take they used.
And it's the one take you get, buddy. That's the take you're going to use. You better fucking use it. I love that.
It's very Mad Max. Like, oh God, you better use that.
You better fucking use that. Tony Randall, legend as well, comedic actor a lot of the time. He was well known for the TV show version of The Odd Couple. The Odd Couple was a play. Then it was a movie that had Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau in it. And he played the Jack Lemmon role. He played Felix Unger. So he was the, obsessive, compulsive, well-to-do member of the Odd Couple. And so Tony Randall played Felix in the TV show version. So a lot of people know him from that as like the, kind of neurotic, uptight figure, which lends perfectly to him in this as well. And he plays the best friend a lot, and he has that voice that sounds very elegant and very, smart. So in Gremlins 2, the new batch, he plays the smart gremlin. He plays like brainy gremlin, where it's like a gremlin that has glasses and a little jacket and is smoking a pipe and is talking about things. And it's just very funny that Tony Randall is this gremlin who's just like, no, yes, let me tell you about the stock market today. Yes, indeed. And it's because he has that voice. He has that voice.
No, after finishing this film, he was definitely the one that I was, trying to monologue doing an impression of.
He's the one that you want to play. Like, that character is, even though he's a minor character relatively in this movie, he's the one that's having fun. Even though some of it's at his own expense, he's just having a blast. Like, he's just... You mentioned recently the Hays Code.
Yes.
And you mentioned that one of the things about divorce of the Hays Code was...
Oh, yes, yeah. It can only be used for comedy or to have a wholesome message at the end.
And how did it work in this movie? They brought it up a bunch.
This is a character who is thrice divorced and just keeps talking about it, and it's very funny.
It's very good. He's a millionaire. He's like, when I was in college, I only had $8 million, and now today, I only have $8 million.
I still have it. Yeah, that was a fun little twist of like, you worked hard, you got better, you had a great experience. I entered with $8 million and I still have $8 million.
What's wrong with me? He's such a worm. But this is you and I have talked often over the years of what is the special source of likability factor? Because with characters like this that do so many horrible things and are privileged and entitled and are just getting off on the thrill of being assholes and whatever, why is this still enjoyable? Why are they still likable? Even in a comedy context, why does this still work? And I think in the case of this movie, not only is the comedy just that good and the performers are just that charismatic, but I think it's because there's like a cartoonish goofiness to it where I don't take it so seriously. I don't get so wound up about it. While with some other movies that are also comedies that can can be hard to hit that right special note. But this movie, Tony Randall, for example, he plays like a the millionaire thrice divorced who's jealous and a part of the love triangle and whatnot. But I just found him just so much of a goofball that I couldn't help but be in his corner. I'm
if this character was played by as a bitter old man who's just always complaining, like, it would have been miserable. But this is perfect.
Yeah, or if this was played by in a certain other way, like, you could argue, in a weird way, and this can work in other contexts, but like he's Harry Osborn. In Spider-Man, like their friend who's the rich guy who's like, why can't I get the girl? Why is this happening? Why is my friend who's living a double life, who's playing a character that is wooing Mary Jane?
I wish James Franco played it like this.
I'm not joking. I wish James Franco. How good would David Hyde Pierce have been as teenage Harry Osborn, the same age as he was in the 2000s? When he did Down with Love, he should have done Harry Osborn just casually. And Willem Dafoe's his dad. Still his dad. You don't change Willem Dafoe. That would be awesome. Like, again, like Frasier's another one where it's like Frasier as a show is about like these pompous pricks, but it's like they're the butt of the joke. That's why it's great. This movie, it's like they're the butt. All of them are the butt of the joke, including Doris Day. But like that's where, we talk about the gender politics and the shakiness. It's like that's where kind of like I can see why people wouldn't love this movie fully, and that's why something like With Down with Love wants to directly challenge this movie too. Is just like she's the butt of the joke, but also she's a victim of this story. Like she's a character that is victimized because the main character, like the guy Rock Hudson, just is a vindictive man who wants to get one over on her. It's like evil. He's an evil man when you think about it.
She interrupted the wrong phone call.
Now, what's what's a old statement I used to make on this podcast a lot about phones? Do you remember how often I would bring up
Was
about
it
plot relevance in phones?
If everyone had a mobile phone, this film wouldn't happen?
Yep. I was thinking about that. You couldn't make this movie not set in the time it's set in.
I mean, Ryan, literally jump back to the beginning of this episode when you asked me to explain this film and how I had to stumble over how to describe the party line.
Yeah, it's interesting how times change, though. Like, we've been at this podcast for a decade now, and so much has changed. And one of the weird things that has changed, at least here in Melbourne, that was in this movie that we could have done like 5 years ago or more, that no longer exists, is the horse carriage ride in the city.
Oh,
In Melbourne, they used to do that. Like, that threw me off when I first moved to Melbourne, because I grew up in a different state in a country town where this didn't happen. But like when I first moved to Melbourne, I show up and I'm in Flinders Street. I'm in the central heart of the city itself. And you could at that time buy what they do in this movie, which is like a horse carriage ride around the city. And it was just so strange to me, like in a city that is especially cluttered on the streets with like trams and cars and buses and whatever else, that a horse could be there as well. Like, it was so surreal for me to like step out of a store where I just bought something and hear clip-clops of a horse. I was like, what? I grew up in the country, so I grew up near like horses and whatnot, but they were like, on grass and mud and dirt, not on the streets.
They weren't in the central business district of the metropolitan area of Melbourne.
Yeah, but that's changed. They stopped doing that. They stopped doing the horse carriage things because it was deemed inhumane.
Yeah, I completely didn't notice it, because I guess I didn't go to the city like all the time when I was younger, but every time I would, Flinders Street, like, oh yeah, there's the horse carriage. It is a thing they do. And I just haven't thought about it in a million years. So they stopped that, 5 years ago?
I want to say, I can't remember the exact date, but they stopped doing it. And I remember one time I asked my wife, where do they keep the horses? Where do they keep them? They must be somewhat nearby. You're not going to, like, put them in and then drive them 2 hours out where you would most likely properly have a horse be kept.
Yeah, like some, like, southeastern suburbs or something.
No, they were kept. I can't remember where it was, but it was, like, in the city area or, like, outside of it just a bit. In like a random concrete slab, basically. Because I remember I was like on a tram one time and there was like building. When you're on a tram and you just see like, you look out the window, there's just like, there's a store, there's a building, whatever it is.
Yeah.
One time it was just like, and here in between these fucking buildings was just like, a block of land that was just a concrete slab that was some horse stables in amongst the metropolis, and it was like one of the most depressing sights I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, did they ever get to like run around or something?
No, they're horses. It's like the running around for them is the day's work.
Yeah.
So this is why they don't do it anymore. It was inhumane.
Yeah, the horse before the carriage.
But yeah, that answered that question, because realistically, it would just, practicality-wise, you're not going to trek the horses. They're big animals. You're not going to trek them around from to and fro every day to a place that's more suitable. You're going to have it be somewhat nearby in a place that will be unsuitable, but it is, for practicality's sake, suitable for your business. But I was watching this movie, and there's this whole bit where Rock Hudson tries to, wow her by buying one of these horse carriages in the city, and he's doing it, and the guy who usually rides the horses is sitting in the back, and we get his monologue, because this movie also has a lot of internal monologues, and it's the only time where another character gets an internal monologue, I'm pretty sure. I think it's only Doris Day and Rock Hudson that get internal monologues. And then the horse carriage driver gets one because he recognizes that this guy's full of shit when it comes to how he holds. Yeah,
that's right.
How he holds the the stuff, and it's just like
something like, I wouldn't trust him with my sister or something.
With my daughter.
If
she was my daughter, I'd worry type deal. And it's the only, again, I mentioned like the split screen thing. That's another thing. The voiceover, the internal monologues is a key part of it, as well as the phone calls. And like with the split screen, there's like one time in the movie where they deviate from how they usually do it, just to add to the surreal nature, absurdist nature we have.
They should have done it for the lady from the phone company when she goes to see him.
Oh.
Just her dirty thoughts about
They
him.
sent a woman.
Yeah. You can tell that, like, oh, this is a woman who's, like, really professional at her job, but right now she's out of her element. She's just going goo goo gaga over this man.
Anything else you want to say about pillow talk?
Not a lot of actual pillow talk.
No, I guess. Well, he's being coy. He wasn't trying to get into the pillow talk situation.
Mm.
What did you feel about what was it gonna? Oh, when it is revealed his lie, how did you feel about that and how it was portrayed in the film? What undid him, which was the music.
Yeah, that was also something that was kind of sudden because she jumps right quick into it. It's like, oh, that's the song. It's you. And just packs up leaves and it's like, oh, that's...
Well, it's because that's all she hears when she answers the phone.
Yeah. I just thought it might be a bit more of a slower process, but it was, very quick.
Did you like how that, I loved it, but I was curious how you felt, how musical that sequence was, because she starts playing gently on the piano the keys of his song and starts to realize it. Then he walks in and he finishes it.
Humming
he
along
finishes the chorus of it, da, 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 da. And then that's when she turns and is like, you, and he's like, oh no. And then the score kicks in with the rest of the song as like a full score where it's like, here's violins, here's piano, here's fucking cowbell. Like it just kept going. And then Tony Randall comes in and he delivers his line, and the way he delivers it and his hand gesture is also in rhythm with the music. And it's like, guys, you don't have to go this hard for it. But that's why I was like, I love the lie reveal thing because they made a fucking meal out of it. You have to. You can't go soft on the punch of this moment. And even though this is a comedy, they just cranked the dial up to like 11 and then broke it off with the reveal moment where it's like, oh, the piano music thing, that's a nice way of revealing it. Like, maybe you would have thought Tony Randall would ruin the party and just say, he's a liar. That could be the simple way to do it. But no, we're going to tie it into the central core of the movie, which is the phone stuff. And what's the one thing she knows about him other than his voice? It's that fucking song he always plays on the piano. So, of course...
I need to rewatch this sequence again.
It's so good, the reveal. And then the score kicks in and it keeps going beyond that scene. Like, it keeps playing the music that he played, but in more exaggerated ways. It goes dramatic, and then after it's done, it still keeps playing it, but now it becomes like a comedy version of the song because now Tony Randall gets punched in the face as she keeps weeping. That was a whole great sequence where she would not stop crying. It's like, see him get sympathetic and then get tired because you see
you've been crying for 60 miles.
As he's getting very tired driving, but she's not lost any energy through crying.
That was funny.
I remember one of our weird arguments or disagreements, I should say, on the podcast was when we did the film The Innocents, and you found it a bit like, I don't know about
the
this.
Child crying.
The child screaming and crying nonstop for hours and not losing any of their voice or energy or whatnot. I was like, actually, I'm not as shocked by that. I love that this movie has a version of that where it's like she's been like weeping and crying and hysterically crying for like 60 miles straight, and meanwhile Tony Randall, who's just a normal guy, he's getting sleepy behind the wheel. It's just such...
Yeah. I stand by the innocence thing. This film gets away with it because it's a comedy.
I disagree. I stand by the innocence because it's also a supernatural, bizarre, is it real, is it not type movie. That's one of those.
But you were on the side that it's not supernatural.
Yeah, but the fact is the movie lives in that ambiguity. So like that's the fun of that movie. But everyone watch The Innocents and judge for yourself. Is the crying thing unrealistic?
Yeah, watch The Innocents, watch Down with Love, watch Pillow Talk, don't watch Bus Stop.
Don't watch... No, God, no. But that is Pillow Talk. What an amazing roller coaster ride of a movie. I was laughing consistently. I thought this was still genuinely very funny. There was just a lot of those quips. Like, this was an era of Hollywood where, like, they would, like, fine-tune, like, every character has to have a zinger. Every character has to be, in quotations, all caps, a character. Like, her boss, did he need to have the over-the-top accent and, like, the mannerisms and whatnot? No. But Counterpoint. Do you remember him?
Mhm.
Yes. If it was just a normal performance, you wouldn't remember him, but boy, do I fucking remember him. And we mentioned him a brief moment, but like Mike Myers understood that with the Austin Powers movies. Like, there's so many iconic little performances in those Austin Powers movies because of just that type of mentality. You know, the orange sherbet. Like, I remember that after all
Yeah.
these years. It's a minor scene, but you remember it because...
And, yeah, even outside of like super, out and out comedy stuff, like David Lynch, who passed away earlier this year, he had so many things like that. I mean, just the other day, I was remembering that earlier this year we saw Wild at Heart, and there was this one like manager character who had this one line that just got me, and I couldn't remember what the line was. So I literally sat down for like 10 minutes reading through the script, finding that character, like put that quote into Google, and I found a website that had just a clip of that exact line, and I was like, yes, this is what I wanted.
David Lynch and
Maybe
old...
we should call a local law enforcement officer.
The David Lynch and old people, especially, is also a winning combo too.
Yes.
I asked for a 2x4, but that is bust. Not bust.
No, it isn't bust.
That is not bust up. That is not Down with Love. That is Pillow Talk. Fantastic. I would, in the future, love to check out their other films together. Rock Hudson and Doris Day and Tony Randall. There's a couple of others.
If they're good enough to be referenced in Grease 1, then of course.
They were apparently going to make a sequel to this movie in the 1980s. Yes. It was in production. It was going to happen with all three returning, but for whatever reasons, it did not happen. And then Doris Day's retirement from the industry just also put the kibosh on it. And then it didn't mention in the trivia, but obviously then Rock Hudson passing away too. But that was like 5-6 years later. So, but in 1980, they were going to do a sequel where it was about their children. And then they divorce, like the two leads divorce, but then a part of it is the children are deceiving the parents to try and fall back in love. And I'm like, I would have watched that. And Tony Randall's there. I'm like, I would have watched that. I would have watched that movie. I would have loved to have seen Pillow Talk 2. What would have happened? I like the idea that they wanted to do a legacy follow-up.
Yeah, kitty pillows.
Kitty pillows, yeah. Was their child able, was it of a certain gender, and could it give birth? Who knows? Will the doctors return?
Yeah, and it's very popular with the LGBT crowd.
This movie, like, I recommend it, but that ending is one of the most, like, what the fuck we just ended on, like, on one of the lamest jokes of the movie, too. Like, it's not a very funny, like, the doctor stuff was never funny. It's funny in the terms of, like, why is this here? But it's not genuinely funny.
I liked it, but I didn't like that the plot itself stopped.
If you had to ask me how this movie should have ended, I would not have said the doctors. When he was walking to Tony Randall, I would have ended personally on Tony Randall doing a spit take about him, like Rock Hudson and Doris Day about to be parents. I would have ended on that.
Implying that he didn't notice the past 3 months of them being together?
Yeah. Or implying that he's still, like, that, or like just, the comedy of manners and stuff like that. I would have loved just Tony Randall's reaction shot more than the doctors dragging away Rock Hudson to see if he's pregnant. Although, as I say that sentence, that is something that more comedy should be brave enough to do.
Yeah, the doctor finally got to meet him. He was a mythical figure the whole way through, and now he finally got to meet him.
When we talked about Train to Busan, and we were talking about the homeless man character, and then, like, when I broke down in the conversation, like, how he was a character that was always 10 minutes narratively ahead of everyone else, and then when we both said that, it's like, actually, that character's a lot more interesting. Critiques removed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about my current critique of the end of Pillow Talk. Now I've said it out loud. It's a perfect ending. 10 out of 10, baby.
Oh, no, not even I said that.
I'm saying it.
Crap.
But next episode, we're going to be talking about a movie that the listening people recommended.
That's you guys.
And I was very distressed because there was a movie that was recommended to us many years ago. I double checked, and maybe I missed it on the list, on our spreadsheet list, but I didn't see it written there on the list.
Mm-hmm.
And I double checked. I went to our comment section on YouTube. I was like, this is a recommendation someone gave us. I remember it, but I was like, maybe it's not on the list, and we haven't done this movie. And I'm not going to give too much away, but Bartek has let me know ahead of time a certain type of movie he's recommending for his foreign pick.
Yeah, so next weekend of the episode you'll know, and Ryan already knows it.
Yes, but I saw this and I was like, you know what? I think it's time to double dip. I'm letting the listening people help double dip on this because we had a listening person recommend 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, an Indian movie called Three Idiots.
Okay.
And somehow it did not end up on our list, but they specifically asked for us to do it and for me not to make fun of Indian movies, which I am going to have a marvelous time looking at the poster of this one where they look like they're a bunch of goofballs. So I'll try not to make fun of Three Idiots, which will be the film we'll be covering next time, which I think has Amir Khan as the lead.
I haven't seen it, but this is a very beloved film.
Yes, even I know of it. Like, the title is one that I knew beforehand. And I don't know, I mean, it's an Indian movie, it will be all genres, but the poster of it looks like a slapstick comedy, and I'm just so keen to see Amir Khan in that, because Amir Khan's the serious one. Right?
Yeah, of the three, he'd be.
He was Lagan.
One.
He was in Lagan.
Yeah, he was the Lagan.
He was the Lagan.
The conflict of that film was triple Lagan.
Yeah, triple Lagan. 3 Lagans. But we'll be talking about Three Idiots. It is available online in various forms. You can find it relatively easily. There's a version available on the Internet Archive, but I don't think it has English subtitles, but those are easy enough to also find. But there are versions available elsewhere.
If you've looked at it,
and it's an iconic film, so there's ways to find it.
This will be my first Bollywood film on the podcast I haven't seen.
Yeah, and how many Amir Khan movies have you actually seen? Is it just Lagan, or is there another?
I've seen Lagan and Doom 3.
Doom 3,
I think those might be it, though.
Wow.
So Three Idiots will be the third one.
And isn't that lucky?
Yeah.
3. You've done Doom 3, Three Idiots, and too bad Lagan didn't have a 3 in it. Triple Lagan. Triple Lagan. So until then, everyone make sure to watch that, and we will be back next time. You can find us on your social medias of Facebook and Twitter. You own them. You own both of those social medias, Facebook and Twitter. You physically purchased them, and now you own them, and you can find us on there.
And you can change their names.
You can change their names to a letter if you want, but make it a cool letter. You know, make it one that feels like you would put it on a map for treasure.
Make it a Japanese letter.
Ooh, what one would you pick of a Japanese letter?
Oh god, I've learned hiragana and most of katakana now.
Which one do you like more?
Well, hiragana because I know all of them.
Yeah, but
katakana I'm still getting used to.
But which one looks cooler?
Hiragana tends to be more curvy, and katakana tends to be more like angular, straight line.
So that would be the social media one. You got to think, how social media works. You don't choose the wavy ones. You choose the angular. It has to be
katakana, yeah.
Yeah. The look on your face of that, you look so sad.
The one that I'm less used to.
Yeah. Well, so use your katakana of choice and follow us on there, Spit and Polish Presents. We also have an email address if you want to contact us more directly and let us know your film recommendations so we can add them to the list. We will add them to the list, I swear. We will add them, and our email address is what?
The email address, which you have to write in English letters, not katakana, is...
Or blood. You can write it in blood.
What do you mean?
You can write your email in blood if you want. To give it extra personality.
How will it get to the inbox?
That's a great question. They can write it physically in blood, scan it, send that through in an email. These are the things you have to think about.
Well, look, I don't know how writing in blood, spit and polished at gmail.com is going to get it to our inbox, but if you have a computer, you have an email address, and you have a thing that lets you compose an email, send it to spitandpolished at gmail.com.
We would appreciate if you could rate and review the show and share it around the place.
I had a look.
That.
I had a look at our YouTube channel the other day. Our episode on Girl on the Broomstick has all dislikes. So go on that one and drop another dislike.
I genuinely wonder if it's because that's like the only Czech film we've been negative on.
Yeah.
Or I was negative on. Like
I
every
will
other Czech
both,
film
yeah.
we've glazed. I love. But that's like the only one I've ever been negative on, and we've got nothing but dislikes on it. Like
Only
I
two.
imagine
to be fair,
if
but yeah.
people who listened to it or recommended it were like, "Oh, great, they love Czech films," and then I'm like, "I don't like this one." And they're like, "What?" Please listen to all of our other Czech film conversations. We love Czech movies.
Yes.
Just that one didn't tickle my fancy as much as it did
Yes.
for everyone else.
Also, the Christmas episode could be a Czech film.
I actually, you know what really bugs me?
Hmm?
I have 2 foreign film picks for Christmas, and it's never landed on me, and it bugs me so much. And
I
one of them
checked-
is a Czech film, and it's just driving me absolutely fucking
Okay.
crazy.
I checked last night to see if we're still in line. We're still in line for listening people's choice for Christmas.
So don't fuck it up, listening
Yeah.
people.
But if we miss a week, your turn, Ryan. You'll have your second Christmas Pictures Powwow pick.
Look, I will try and play fair. You know, I don't want to rob the listening people because they've also been robbed for years as well. Have they had a pick? When was the last time they had a pick?
They had
For Christmas / holiday.
your favorite film of all time, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
And that was years ago now.
Yeah,
So
it was the one time because it's been you once, listening people once, and then all me.
and all foreign for you.
All but one.
But one was foreign. That's
It's a
right.
Wonderful Life.
That's lucky you.
Yeah.
But that is all. Thank you so much for listening. And remember to be kind to each other, or I'll take you out of your bed. You'll be in your pajamas, and you'll be kicking and screaming, but everyone will think it's fine because they see what a virile, strong, broad-shouldered man I am. They'll see a 6'5" tall man with slicked hair walking past and a cop giving like a salute and appreciation for that. They won't blink an eye. So if you don't be kind to each other, you're going to my apartment, and there will be light switches there.
And a fertility statue.
Oh, last thing. I can't believe I almost forgot to bring this up. Rock Hudson's character is basically Charlie in Two and a Half Men.
Yeah.
I was watching him like, oh, that's just Charlie in 2.5 Men, and I looked it
He
up.
writes jingles.
I looked it up. Could not see any reference in the productions or anything of 2.5 Men to this.
Hmm.
But it feels like it must be, right?
I had that thought early on. I didn't think it throughout the film, but early on I'm like, oh, that's what Charlie did. And he's a ladies' man who writes jingles.
Yeah, isn't that nuts? Like, and he has the high-strung, in that case, brother, but in this one, friend. Like, it was insane to me. I was watching this, and I'm like, man, this is just like 2.5 Men. Could not find any info online from, like, the creators of 2.5 Men that this was influenced in any way, but I have to do a double take. I'm just like, are you sure, guys?
Charlie Sheen, if you're listening, I'd really, really like to see you do a role like this. If there's ever a, like, Down with Love 2, like, you need to get in there.